My intuitive insights flow freely, which means I'm also listening to my intuition and allowing what needs to come through me and be expressed out in the world, which means I have to let myself be creative to create and put out the things that are asking to flow through me, because they are meant not only to help me, but to also help others. Me also being you, by the way. So especially if you are someone who is able to get yourself out of those frequencies, I believe it is your duty and responsibility to shine your light to help those who are having trouble pulling themselves out of those frequencies. There's strength that comes through joy. When you're in a higher vibration, and that's also your set point, it's so much harder for people to bring you down. It's so much harder for people to mess with you. It's so much harder to get stuck. It's so much harder to give in to fear. We need more people to stand up against all the fear that keeps getting pushed on us these last handful of years especially. It doesn't matter what your thoughts on anything are. I think we can all agree that there's a lot of fear and anxiety and worry that's being pushed. And we have to get through that as a collective, but it always starts on the individual level. Welcome to the Fire Within podcast, helping you to remember and embrace who you really are and turn the spark within you into a full, burning, soul-led fire. My name is Carrie Jokala. I am your host. I am a Reiki master teacher, a fitness instructor, a wife, a mom to 2 little boys, and this is episode 223. I think. I'm pretty sure. Hold on. Yes. We missed a week again because I suddenly came down with a really yucky sore throat that did not feel like strep. It was just a lingering sore throat. And if you saw me on Instagram, I tried to talk a little bit and explain why there was not going to be a podcast, at least by the normal day. I was hoping that I could get one up by the rest of the week, but the sore throat never went away. It literally didn't go away until this morning. This morning is the first day I woke up and my throat didn't feel sore. But you might be able to hear in my voice, I'm still a little, not raspy, but like chesty, I guess. But it's good enough. It's good enough. Close enough for rock and roll, as they say. So I also spent some time debating yet again what the topic should be for today because, like I have said, I do have plenty of ideas, but figuring out which one is relevant for each week, I still have to sit down and think about that. I have lots that I want to talk about, some heavy topics that I want to get into, some lighter topics that I want to get into. But none of it was quite feeling like this was the time for any of that just yet, other than what led me up until this exact moment when I hit record and started talking. I just got done a little while ago doing the meditation, the monthly meditation for my membership called Glow Mind, Body, and Soul. And if you don't know what that is, it is a monthly membership where we meet so far right now twice a month, once for a group Reiki session and once for a live meditation session. I usually pick a theme for each month, and this month, because of the spring equinox, was new beginnings, fresh starts. What I didn't know, I think I did know about the solar eclipse coming up, maybe, when I picked the theme. Because everyone's making a big deal about the solar eclipse coming up. But we also just had a lunar eclipse. We had a full moon, I think on the same day. I'm probably going to get the term wrong, but I think we're in what they call the pre-shadow period of a Mercury retrograde that's coming up. And apparently it's going to last a while too on top of it. So there's a lot of big energy coming in, which means energetic upgrades, energetic shifts, ascension, evolving, moving to the next level, which sometimes can either feel like or bring actual what they call tower moments, where it can feel like everything's just falling apart. Maybe you feel like you're going through a dark night of the soul rather than a fresh start. But if I go back to, probably a reason this came up when I was mentioning this to somebody else. We also had the astrological New Year event at Stone and Sage in New Berlin this weekend, and I was talking with another woman who's been at the previous events as well, along with me. And she does card readings. She had this deck that's called the Enchanted Map. I do not have that deck, but my Reiki teacher has that deck. And I think before I ever actually, I had not learned Reiki with her yet. This card, I believe, came during the first group Reiki session I attended with her. And she went through after the Reiki and she pulled a card for everybody. There were like 20 people there. She pulled a card for everybody. And she had multiple decks. So she could have pulled from any deck, but she felt drawn to the Enchanted Map. And I'm sitting there the whole time and I could feel it. I didn't really know my intuition that well at that point, but I know I felt it, the energy that was coming. But I'm sitting there going, please be good, please be positive, please be a good message, please be a positive message. I need that right now. And she pulls the card and she looks down, she looks up and she doesn't show the card yet. And she goes, I think I actually talked about this on the podcast too. She goes, okay, don't be sad. I'm like, oh crap. Where I was on the Enchanted Map at the time, this was many years ago, was rock bottom. But the two great things about that were what she said. Number one, when you're at rock bottom, there really is nowhere to go but up, which is true. And the other thing for me was that it was validating, which is really the main thing that I think we look to card readings for, is not to predict the future, because we always have free will, so it can always be changing, but just to confirm, to give us the guidance that we need, the confirmation that we need to be able to trust ourselves. If you've ever had a card reading done before, I highly doubt that you have been told something that you didn't already either know or at least suspect about yourself. So we go to the cards for confirmation. I just looked up I'm in Pro Tools and it's set up in as if it were recording music. So I was just in measure 222 when I looked up. I also just saw 144 on my phone a little while ago. 123 after I got done with the meditation session. But anyway, my point being, if you're feeling like you don't feel this new beginning, you're not quite feeling this fresh energy, you're feeling like everything's falling apart. I don't mean for this to be like spiritual bypassing or whatever, any of that stuff. You know I don't mean it that way. If you're ready for it, you're ready for it. If you're not, just ignore me. If it resonates, take it. If you're going through something, it's because you're being set up for your next level. And you might not be able to see that until like 6 months from now. Who knows? But hold on tight. Trust yourself. Trust the nudges. Stay focused on taking care of yourself. Stay focused on happiness, joy, doing everything you can to maintain or bring those things back into your life. But that's the other thing that led me to our topic today, is that after I got done with the meditation and I was trying to sort out what I would talk about today, and I was getting everything loaded up because it's an old computer and it takes about 20 minutes. My Reiki teacher randomly popped on live doing some card readings and confirmed yet again the same message I've been getting for a while, and a message that I got earlier today, a topic that I've done multiple podcast episodes on, about getting back to joy, I keep getting told in messages a lot that I need to be more playful, which might sound surprising to those of you who either listen to the podcast or maybe especially if you attend my group fitness classes. I'm definitely a joyful person. But when it comes to myself, I'm a Virgo, I'm a perfectionist. I can get easily stressed out and frustrated if I'm not seeing success, if I'm not seeing the fruits of my labor, if it feels yet again like I'm in a space where I've been trying and nothing's happening. If you fall into that too, what ends up happening is you just find it very hard to pull yourself out of that and really be playful because you become overly connected to, overly attached to the outcome that you want to happen. You want it to happen faster. You want it to happen in a certain way on a certain timeline. But I've been putting out messages that are also for me. They're not necessarily from me. They are through me because they're also for me, about getting back to non-attachment, non-reaction, non-attachment. I've seen other messages from other people about not getting so attached to the outcome, having fun again, doing things because it's fun rather than feeling like you have to follow the script and do business in a certain way. I've known forever that I'm meant to be different, but I keep finding myself randomly, no matter how much work I do, I keep finding myself trying to fit in again, getting impatient. But we're going to get back to joy. We're going to be playful again. Here we go. She's going to talk about 75 hard again. Yes, I am. So I am now in phase 1 of 75 hard, which I know sounds weird if you don't know the program. So 75 hard is the first phase of the Live Hard program. And now the time is 2:22. So you start with 75 hard, which is 75 days long. You have, I think there's 10 tasks, but I don't know if all of them count as tasks because one of the things you check off is no alcohol. So I don't know if that really counts as a task, but that is a rule that you have to abide by as an example for 75 hard. Once you complete that, then there's phase 1, phase 2, and phase 3. And for me, the exciting part is that it doesn't mean that you are going to be 100% on this program in this exact routine for an entire year, because each of those phases is 30 days. So the time in between these phases is a test to see how well you can continue to hold yourself accountable and not start to slip back into old habits. Phase 1, you can either wait a little bit or you can start right away after 75 hard. I chose to start right away, but I failed on day 1 right away. So day 1 became the next day, and I think I'm on like day 9 or something like that now. But you add, so you do all the tasks from 75 hard, and you add 10 minutes of dedicated visualization, which you could call a meditation, of seeing yourself having achieved your goals, what it's going to look like, what it's going to feel like, a 5-minute cold shower, and you have to add some items to your, he calls it the power list, your to-do list, basically, things that are going to move the needle forward in whatever you want to move the needle forward in your life. So I have chosen things for that list that I know are going to move me forward. And it has just taken a lot of concerted efforts to make sure I do those things. And I'm very happy that I'm doing those things because I know it's moving the needle forward. But sometimes, so far in this phase, it can take me all day to get everything done. But I'm committed. I'm here. And one of the things that I have on my list is showing up with some type of a post every day on Instagram, which also does feed into my Facebook feed. And depending on what it is, I may also share it into my Facebook group. So if you don't have Instagram, don't worry. You can still see those. If you do see them, please make sure you interact with them. Just a little side note. I do sometimes get people telling me, either messaging me or they see me in person and they tell me, they saw this post and it was so inspiring and they loved it and all this stuff, but they didn't engage with it, which for one, if you're not engaging with anybody's accounts, whoever you're talking about, the algorithm takes that as you're not interested in what they're posting. So then they're less likely to show you posts from that account. The algorithm is weird, so engaging with an account doesn't always guarantee that you're going to continue seeing their posts, because I know there are some accounts that I engage with a decent amount and all of a sudden I don't see their posts for a while and I know they're posting, but it can help for sure. So if you're liking the content, if you want to see more of it, whether it's my account or whoever's, please make sure that you remember to engage with it in some way. Either hit the like button, leave a comment, share it, because then that also helps the algorithm go, oh, the people who are following this account like it. Maybe more people will like it. If followers are not engaging, the algorithm thinks, even this account's followers aren't liking this content, so we're not going to show it to anybody else. So I hope that doesn't make you feel guilted into liking my content. That was not the point. Just simply a reminder, if you do like the content, if you don't like it, go ahead, don't engage with it. If it doesn't resonate, that's fine. But if it does resonate, if you do like it, just make sure you engage because it helps. But very long story short, my point in telling you that is one of my tasks in this is that I need to get back to having more fun. I need to be more creative, like I've been saying for a while. And I've still been taking things too seriously. So when my Reiki teacher showed up today and did that reading, that's what she tapped into, that I need to play more, get back to having fun with it. Not that I'm not having fun with what I do when I'm doing it, but the in-between, I can get kind of down on myself for not being where I want to be yet. So if this is resonating with you, come with me on this journey. I'm going to pull a card. I was drawn to, this better be good, because I was drawn to my Star Temple Oracle deck, which I don't use very often. I haven't used in a long time. So long, in fact, that it's not even been sitting upstairs here with most of my other decks. It's been downstairs. And the only reason it got downstairs in the basement was from when we got carpeting and everything had to get moved out of the way. And then I only brought up the things that I actually needed to use on a regular basis. And I wasn't using that card deck on a regular basis, so it just stayed down there. And then I went to decide what card deck to use for this. And I really tried to ask my Quantum Oracle deck if I could use it. And it was like, no, go get the Star Temple. So let's see what the Star Temple deck has to say. These are all like the same message. So let me say first, before I tell you the cards, allowing yourself to be creative means allowing yourself to trust yourself, to trust your intuition, because your imagination is your intuition talking to you. And that's why it can be too easy sometimes to write off intuition as imagination, as, oh, I just made that up. That wasn't real. That was just me talking in my head. That wasn't an actual message. Oh, my imagination is running away with itself. No, that's likely your intuition. Now, our imagination can run away with itself sometimes. It can get out of whack. But if we're grounded, if we can lean into that self-trust, if we can get quiet and listen, That's when our imagination is our intuition talking to us. That's how our intuition, in my belief, talks to us. It feels like imagination. And I have had that confirmed because I started to think that. I started to confirm that for myself long before I ever read that in anyone else's book. So, there. So, the first card that came out is, I think we say this, let me look. Okay, so it's pronounced Easterapi. The chakra that it relates to. So this deck is broken up into sections. And so we got 2 cards from the Easterapi section. So they both deal with the third eye. The crystal is lapis lazuli. The archetype is the visionary. And we got first the lapis lazuli star. It says, starlight, my inner vision guides me to my higher purpose. Inner vision perhaps being your imagination, just saying. The star words are insight, perception, and passion. The lapis lazuli star inspires personal and spiritual power. This energetic vortex reveals inner truth, encourages self-awareness, and promotes self-confident, intuitive expression. This is my interjection. That's your creativity. Okay. The lapis lazuli crystal is known to open the third eye chakra and balance the throat chakra. It stimulates psychic sight and enhances dream recall and interpretation. Wear or place lapis lazuli at the throat to amplify clairvoyance and visualization. In collaboration with the third eye, this crystal clarifies psychic and mediumship connection, thus increasing contact with the spirit realm for healing messages. That's interesting. Okay, then we also got, from that same section, the visionary, awake. With an intuitive perspective, I see the bigger picture. Star words are aware, revelation, and expansion. You are the visionary, awake to your intuitive perception. You have the power and potential to see the higher perspective. Easterapi guides you to step into your intuitive light with love and insight for self-awareness and expansion. You are a peacemaker that inspires unity, oneness, and higher consciousness. You have the gift of inner vision and intuitive foresight. With this power, you look forward and can see your goals materializing in front of your eyes. Dream extravagantly, as your vision will manifest with courageous intent. One of the tasks of phase 1 is visualization of your dreams coming true. Okay, then we got a card from the Seleno section. The chakra is the heart, and the crystal is jade. The archetype is the oracle. And we got the oracle card. It says, forecast, I am the oracle. My intuitive insights flow freely. Star words are foresee, foreknow, and foretell. Despite being the youngest sister of the Pleiades, Seleno is the wise and highly intuitive oracle of the Star Temple. She appears to you now to guide you forward on your spiritual quest for intuitive illumination. Seleno also affirms that you are an oracle of the light yourself. You have the gift of prophecy and the ability to shine your intuitive torch to lead and enlighten lost souls. Embrace your intuitive intelligence and focus on service. See, know, feel, and express your innate awareness with honorable intentions. Trust in your own inner oracle and cosmic link to the divine. My intuitive insights flow freely, which means I'm also listening to my intuition and allowing what needs to come through me and be expressed out in the world, which means I have to let myself be creative to create and put out the things that are asking to flow through me, because they are meant not only to help me, but to also help others. Me also being you, by the way. So I don't remember what I said in any of the other episodes at the moment, but feel free to go back and check out prior episodes about getting back to joy. You deserve to feel joy and happiness. They're all titled similarly like that, I believe. There's at least a couple of them. But most importantly, just start being playful again. I know there's a lot going on in the world. But I've also said this before, and I will say it again now. You can also go back to an interview I did a long time ago. I wish I could remember her name off the top of my head. I may have put her full first name, Maureen, in the title, but she also goes by Mo. And I may have used the title of her book as part of the title of the podcast. It was called Be Happy Now. It may have come out in 2020 at some point, or even early 2021, perhaps, if it's not in 2020. Is that we've got to go first. If you haven't heard me or Mo say this before, we have to go first. Somebody's got to hold the light. Somebody has to hold the hope. Somebody has to hold that aura of hope and light for others to step into and feel into that so that they can start to feel it too. Someone has to lead. If we all let ourselves be held down in these negative, sad, depressed frequencies for too long, I'm not saying you can't feel them ever, but if we stay there for too long, and if all of us are there, we'll never get out. Someone has to step out and hold the light first. Someone has to be willing to bring joy, not just into their own life, but to spread joy for others, whatever that looks like. It doesn't have to involve being a comedian, trying to be funny, just being yourself, having fun, being playful, being silly, sharing happy, positive, uplifting, and empowering messages. It doesn't mean we go blind to what's happening. It doesn't mean we don't step in to help when there's tragedy or bad things happening around. It doesn't mean we don't stand up for what we believe in. It just means that we always do things from an authentic source of pure divine love. We show up as our joyful, authentic, true self because who we are is love and joy. Those are the frequencies that we are actually made of, that we are actually meant to be at. That is meant to be our set point. And again, does not imply that we are not allowed or never supposed to feel sad, upset, angry, fearful, but we are not meant to stay in those vibrations for an extended period of time. So especially if you are someone who is able to get yourself out of those frequencies, I believe it is your duty and responsibility to shine your light to help those who are having trouble pulling themselves out of those frequencies. These messages, these creative flows are meant to come out of you, like I said, not just to help you, but to also help others, to inspire them to realize that they have those same abilities. They have that same creativity. They have that same capacity for joy. So the download, the nudge that I got earlier today, before getting that confirmation from my Reiki teacher, is to do what I think I'm just going to call the Joy Project. Was there a book called The Happiness Project? I think that's what it was called. Yeah, Gretchen Rubin, The Happiness Project. I read that book a while ago. I still have it. But I'm going to call this the Joy Project. I'm not writing a book. I'm not even going to create a group or an official challenge around it. I think as I'm getting more in the now personally required habit of showing up with a post on Instagram every day, starting in April, it's going to be 30 days of posts, probably mostly reels, dedicated to this joy project. I don't know what that's going to look like. I don't know what that's going to entail. It's probably going to be one jumbled mess of collectively incoherent things that maybe don't really go together, but will all tie together under the premise of bringing joy, having fun, getting back to having fun, getting back to being more joyful, to not letting external factors bring you down and keep you down. Let me emphasize again, it's okay if things bring you down, but we can't allow ourselves to stay there. And I'm also not necessarily saying force and claw and drag your way out and pretend that everything's okay after a few days. If it's really not, there's no timeline. I'm not telling you it has to only be a couple minutes or a couple days or whatever. However long you need to be in whatever emotion you need to be in, that's fine. But you know intuitively, if you can get quiet and listen, you know when it's gone on too long. And when it's time to start maybe now consciously doing the work to bring yourself out. You don't have to bring yourself out quickly. You don't have to flip a switch. You just got to remember that you can't stay there. So if you're not following me on Instagram, make sure you are. Like I said, I'm sure you'll see the posts on Facebook too, because I do have them set to cross post. But keep a lookout for them. Engage with them if they resonate. Share them if they resonate. And share this podcast if it resonates. Share this podcast if you're on board with perhaps your own joy project. Share the journey with me, with your followers. I don't know if we can start a movement. I don't know if I reach enough people to start a movement, but maybe we will. There's strength that comes through joy. When you're in a higher vibration, and that's also your set point, it's so much harder for people to bring you down. It's so much harder for people to mess with you. It's so much harder to get stuck. It's so much harder to give in to fear. We need more people to stand up against all the fear that keeps getting pushed on us these last handful of years especially. And it doesn't matter what your thoughts on anything are. I think we can all agree that there's a lot of fear and anxiety and worry that's being pushed. And we have to get through that as a collective, but it always starts on the individual level. So be more powerful than that. Do this work to raise your vibration, to shine your light, to be your authentic self, because that shows your true strength. And the beautiful part is it doesn't have to feel like work. Maybe it shouldn't. It's not supposed to feel like work because it's meant to be joyful, playful, maybe a little silly. This is technically all a game we're here playing anyway, to see how far we can help our soul to grow and evolve. So while we're going to encounter hard things, that's how we really grow and show ourselves who we are. If the rest of the time we can be joyful, this journey is going to be so much easier. So come with me. Let's do this joy project. I hope this was helpful. If it was, if it inspired you, if something resonated with you, please make sure that you share this episode. If you share it to your Instagram, make sure you tag me at I am Carrie Jokala. And also, if you feel so called, it helps the show in the podcast algorithm if you leave a 5-star rating and a positive review. I appreciate all of it. I'm so glad that you're here. I hope that you'll do this with me. Make sure you check the show notes if you are feeling drawn to doing a card reading, a Reiki session, an Akashic reading session, or even taking the reins yourself and learning to do Reiki. I'm being pushed again to probably launch another group Reiki 1 class. I'm just deciding if I want to try to do maybe some all day, like in one shot kind of trainings, or if you still want to spread it out over a couple of weeks. So let me see how that's going to work out. If you have questions, if you're interested in that, let me know. Otherwise, that is where I'm going to wrap this up. Thank you so much for being here, and I will see you next time.